Smart woman.
Okay.
Anyway.
So, Nithar, would you accept that if I do that?
No, I wouldn't accept it.
Why?
I'd fetch the broom. I'd fetch the broom and the scoop and make you clean it and never invite you again.
Hey, girl, Nicole, good luck on the play tonight. You're welcome. Now you're gonna make sure that your return goes on Monday, right? Come on, let me get to what? Get out.
Okay. Do not harm a person of goodwill. Despite the insistence of evil men, that all men are evil, there are many good men around, and women too. You may have been fortunate enough to know some. Okay, so anyone know such people?
Of course, yes.
Yeah, you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, so actually, this can be proven very, very easily. Look what he says next. Factually, the society runs on men and women of goodwill. Public works, opinion leaders, those in the private sector who do their jobs are, in the great majority, people of goodwill. If they weren't, they long since would have ceased to serve. So, if you look at it, to a greater or lesser degree, most countries have teachers, correct?
Yep.
Agreed?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay, and most countries have police officers, agreed?
Agree.
Okay, and most countries have doctors and nurses, agreed?
Yes.
Okay, and I can continue and continue. Now, to some degree, depending on the ability of the education in the country, these different systems that we're talking about are working. Some are working fantastic, well, maybe, but most of them are working, and they're not working because the governments that are running them are brilliant. They're working because the people who are doing the job are people of goodwill. These are people that have good intentions, that are trying to get the show on the road. Guys, you get this point?
Yep. Yeah.
Good one.
Awesome. Such people are easy to attack. Their very decency prevents them from overprotecting themselves. Yet the survival of most of the individuals in a society depends upon them. So this is exactly the point. These people that I'm talking about, which are approximately 80% of the population of planet Earth, are good people that don't believe that bad things should occur or actually are really happening. That is the reason that the entire planet can be locked down. Okay? Who will not obey the rules of a lockdown? The innocent and the decent, or the criminal?
Criminal.
Criminal, exactly. So here is exactly this. Such people are easy to attack. So guys, we've been attacked. Sorry to tell you. All of us are being attacked on a daily basis by our government, who is doing the work of some other groups internationally, like the WHO, which is the World health organization and other people who have other interests than our good health. But we are being attacked. And why we are allowed to attack is because we're decent people. Because we think of the good of others, because we try to help, because we wouldn't want other people to get sick. So we're willing to tolerate what we've been exposed to. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yet the survival of most of the individuals in a society depends upon them. So, you know, for example, we have with us a young lady who, when a friend needed help, she did not hesitate. She dropped everything and she helped a friend. She's really, truly a person of goodwill. Yesterday, I was very, very touched and impressed by her actions. You know, and if you look around and you look those people who do the extra and help the extra and do the things for others, those are the people that actually make this planet a good place. Those are the people who balance out the ones who do the bad things. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
The violent criminal, the propagandist, the sensation-seeking media. By the way, sensation-seeking media sounds very, very real these days. The sensation-seeking media all tend to distract one's attention from the solid, everyday fact that the society would not run at all were it not for the individuals of goodwill. As they guard the street, console the children, take the temperatures, put out the fires, and speak good sense in quiet voices, one is apt to overlook the fact that people of goodwill are the ones that keep the world going and man alive upon this earth. And here's a very, very, very important thing that you need to understand about the sensation-seeking media. In every given day, never mind the pandemic, the sensation-seeking media lies. And I'll tell you why it lies. Because they call themselves news. Okay? They say that they are the news. And we need to realize that if they are the news, they should be reflecting of what really is happening. And if I would give a newspaper, or I would send a newspaper to a man in Mars, let's say there was such thing as people in Mars that would be coming to the planet, and the first thing they will see on the planet is a newspaper. They will read through the first 2 pages, throw it on the ground, get into the space shuttle, and get out of here as soon as they can. Because this entire planet looks like one big hub of criminals if you read the newspapers. Do you get this point? And if you're supposed to reflect the news of a country, of a town, of a society, of a planet, and all we see is bad news, then you know that that is a whole lot of lies. So your first point of attack is newspapers, media that are news sensation, they're liars. That's a stable datum. If you start there, that every article that you pick up from a newspaper or from some news agency, CNN, BBC, or whatever, you start that it's a lie. Why? Because if they only busy giving the bad news, and 80% is actually good news, and I'm being very, very conservative, then they are lying. And they are trying to put a picture there that does not exist. And Okay, I want all of you to go a second to the window, okay? And look out the window. Okay, just do that. Go a second out to the window and look out the window. Guys, just go. Go to the windows. Look out the windows.
Dog outside.
Yeah, okay. See what you can see.
The lights of Cape Town.
I see neighbors.
Okay. So
I see people walking downstairs.
here's my question. When you looked out the window, were there any criminals running at your backyard?
I hope not.
Did you see hundreds of dead people dying from corona on your lawn? Didn't look too dangerous, right? If I would look at the newspaper, I would expect to find outside my window hundreds of people are dying and some war happening. Okay? There is no relations between what is written in the media and the newspaper to the truth. So if it's coming from there, you can relax because the situation is much better than what they write. Does it make sense? Okay. I'm going to read this one again. The violent criminal, the propagandist, the sensation-seeking media all tend to distract one's attention from the solid, everyday fact that the society would not run at all were it not for the individuals of goodwill. As they go on the street, counsel the children, take the temperatures, put out the fires, and speak good sense in quiet voices. One is apt to overlook the fact that people of goodwill are the ones that keep the world going and man alive upon this earth. Okay, that's very important to remember this, because they will make you think that everyone is bad and it's all a catastrophe. By the way, people who are bad believe, let me put it like this. A few years back when I was living in Israel, I had a client. And I made a mistake and I took him as a client. Very seldom happened to me, but I did that. I probably was very hungry for work at the time. And the guy could not believe, he didn't believe me, that I don't cheat on my wife, that I don't steal VAT. He didn't believe that I told him, no, I'm going to invoice him. He can't pay me without VAT. It wasn't understandable for him. He didn't believe that I don't go out in the evening to drinks with my friends. And that is the criminal for you. He thinks everybody is like him. Do you get the point? If you would go into the outfit of a gangster and you live that life, you believe everybody in the world is a gangster. No, there are a small minority on the planet, but amongst them are the news media agencies that they think like criminals because all they give us is bad news. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so we continue. Yet, such can be attacked and strong measures should be advocated and taken to defend them and keep them from harm. For your own survival and that of your family and friends depends upon them. Okay, and this is very important, and I think it was shown very nicely in the video. The people of goodwill need to be protected. Does it make sense? People who make this society a better society need to be protected. And you know, how can I show it in a better way? For example, in Israel there was one scientist. He used to be the director of health ministry in Israel, the previous one. And from day one, he was saying that Corona was a hoax. It's not more than a flu. And he was trying to fight it from day one. But when the first time he was interviewed on the TV and he stated that, he was then put off and he was sent off because he wasn't giving sensation news. He was trying to calm the people and make it good. Does it make sense? Now, but then a very good friend of mine and colleague started to speak up for him and protect him as a person of goodwill. Because remember, if those that know the truth will not be protected and cannot speak up, that's the end of us. Does it make sense? I mean, if scientists are not going to speak up, if they don't feel that they're protected, if doctors cannot speak up and say the truth because they're afraid of what's going to be done to them if they do, we have no chance. We're gonna have a planet that's closed forever. So it's very important that we protect people of goodwill, people who are willing to do for others. Does it make sense, guys?
Yeah.
Okay. The way to happiness is far more easily followed when one supports people of goodwill. Okay. Anyone wants to say anything about this? Nothing? Giovanni?
Mine, yes, Yaron, Mr. Yaron. Mine would be on the media side. That I believe that the big problem with the media comes from the lack of education of people in distinguishing representation and reality. Because if we go back in time, the purpose of the media was to bring to us, the purpose of a theater, the purpose of the movies was to bring us a reality that make us imagine a future. But within that environment, everyone brings his own agenda. So as an individual, I believe that we all have to develop the capacity to distinguish what is a reality, just like you did right now, go and look to the window. As you look, you observe, and you can take your own conclusions. And what is a representation of something that somebody's trying to tell us. So I believe on the side of the media is more of a lack of education, because if you have one person that dominates everything and blinds people, it's way easier than to manipulate everything that people see and how people see. How do they call now? They call that we live through the eyes of the media. We're not. A lot of people, most of the society doesn't even live through the eyes of their own minds. It's through the eyes of society, of the media, sorry.
Excellent.
So I think that the great distinction there is education, like keeping people educated and teaching them common sense, which is most of the things that I see you doing with us here, building solid principles in life, so that when you go outside, you can look through the eyes of your mind and not through the eyes of the media.
Awesome. Awesome observation. Yes, Ellen.
There's also a comment from Wadzi.
Yes.
She's with Witness.
Good.
They're attending together. She said the other problem is trying to be a populist, saying things to make people happy.
Yeah,
That's
definitely. And here's another thing, and just going from what Giovanni says, just looking at what Giovanni says, if I look at a situation from the point of view that we have the media pushing their own agenda, okay? Now, amongst you, I mean, we have roughly 20 people here listening. After this, who will look at the media in a different eye? Who from the people are here will now, when they read something in the media, will have a different perspective on it? Okay? Okay, so I'm getting about 60, 70%. Okay, so now imagine this, planetary wide, the media will be not believed because they shouldn't be believed. I mean, we just demonstrated, we shouldn't believe them. So imagine that 70% of the planet would not believe in the media. You think we would be in a lockdown now? You think anybody would be worried about a virus? And just to support us, guys, just to support it, I read today a report from the CDC. You all know what the CDC is?
Center for Disease Control.
Sorry?
Center for Disease Control.
Right, and they are where?
In the US.
Right. So this is the US organization that warns and gives procedures when there's some kind of a disease which is in a form of pandemic or similar, including the flu in the US. Now, I'm just going to throw at you a few numbers. About the beginning of this epidemic, around the end of January, February, they were talking about a 3.4% death rate within the people who are get sick. And if I translate it to numbers, from every 100,000, it's 3,400 people, okay? 3,400, and that was the panic. On that basis, planet Earth closed, okay? If you take it multiplied by millions of populations, it starts to be a lot of numbers, okay? Now, a month ago, Stanford University, guys, you know Stanford University?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
in US, it's regarded the fourth, when it comes to medicine, it's regarded the fourth prestige university for medicine. Okay, so in other words, number 4 in the prestige in the United States. So Stanford University came out with a research, and their research based on February, because this was the beginning of May. So this was March, April, February, March, April numbers. They came out with a 0.2%, which is 200 people on every 100,000. That is like, wow, it's about 17 times less than the reason that we were locked down, okay? A few days ago, I'm not sure what date the CDC exactly, but I read it today. The CDC came out and their estimation is of 2.3%, which is 230 people versus 3,400 that they had before, guys. Okay, this is the CDC. Now, which of you heard it in the news? Any one of you heard it in the news? Anyone saw it in CNN, BBC, Sky News, South Africa News? But this is contradictory to what's happening in the world. And this is CDC. This is not Joe or some. It's even not Stanford. This is CDC. Nothing in the news, huh? How about wearing masks? You know, if you go now into the WHO, if you go into the WHO website. Just go into Google, try it. You go into the WHO website and you say masks. You just talk about facial masks. Who should wear facial masks? You know who should wear facial masks?
Those who
Well, they say very clearly, not healthy people.
Yeah.
Healthy
Ew.
people should not wear masks. This is the WHO. They started everything. It's all based on them. And they tell you don't wear masks. Where's the news? Where's the media? Why are they not publishing it? Why are they not stating it? Okay, if you try, and I follow a lot of these research, about what's happening, and and from time to time, I put it in the group. When I find a nice article, I put it in the group. But guess what? When this article comes from a very, very qualified person, as quickly as it goes on to Facebook, Facebook takes it down. Why? Why is Facebook taking it down and calling it fake news? I mean, every one of us, we spend maybe an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. These days, I spend more time on Facebook because of the situation. Usually, I'm not that active, but because of the situation, I'm a lot in Facebook. I don't see Facebook take nothing down except this. Okay, do you get the point? Now imagine. Yes, Litar.
Yaron, just on a note, prior to when we started coming back to work, and we did that good news stories every week, when I actually realized the negativity of the media when you actually type in Google good news stories about coronavirus, and you only find a good news story on the 5th or 6th page of Google. And I'm sure they can relate. You actually need to search on Google for a good news story, because the first few pages and links are all just deaths and this happened and that happened and just negative news stories. They don't actually give you positivity about it.
True. Now, guys, why do you think is that? What happens when we only get bad news? What happens to our emotional level? Who goes out in a dance and a song after he read that 52 people died from something? Yeah, no one here? She's in the wrong group. So you get, so yes. This is what happens when fear sets in. When fear sets in, people say to others, save me. When fear sets in, you're willing to accept anything. You say, take my freedom. Here's my freedom. Take it, just save me. I don't mind to be a prisoner as long as I'm alive. That is what happens when they put fear into people. Okay? That's how you control people. People are controlled when you put the fear of God in them. Okay? You only can cause people who do not look and do not think for themselves to be afraid. And who frightens the bad people? People who think for themselves, because they cannot be controlled.
Interesting.
So the process that we are doing here is the process of thinking for ourselves. Okay? Thank God, even though there's a full-blown lockdown, we can think for ourselves still. They haven't stopped that yet. It's not against the law to think. And to think for yourself is still okay. I don't know for how long. Soon they might take it off from Facebook. But at this moment, we can think for ourselves.
Thank God.
You get the point? So these people of goodwill are these people who make all the difference. And they need to be protected. Okay. Okay, you ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Before we move, anyone wants to say anything? Okay, here we go. How's that video? Huh? Good one?
Good one.
Safeguard and improve your environment. Be of good appearance. It sometimes does not occur to some individual, as they do not have to spend their days looking at themselves, that they form part of the scenery and appearances of others. And some do not realize that they are the judges, they are judged by others on the basis of their appearance. While clothes can be expensive, soap and the other tools of self-care are not that hard to obtain. The techniques are sometimes difficult to dig up, but can be evolved. In some societies, when they are barbaric or become very degraded, it can even be the fashion to be a public eyesore. Actually, it is a symptom of lack of self-respect. Exercising and working, one can become very messed up, but this does not rule out getting cleaned up. And as an example, some European and English workmen manage a style of appearance even when working. Some of the better athletes, one notices, look good despite being wringing with sweat. Okay, wringing, just totally having a lot of sweat coming off. Okay? An environment disfigured with unkempt people can have a subtle depressive effect on one's morale. Encourage people around you to look good by complimenting them when they do, or even gently helping them with their problems when they don't. It could improve their self-regard and their morale as well. So there's a very interesting thing that we have happening. You know, I'm looking at the animal kingdom, and the animal kingdom is the strongest survives, right? It's the rule of the strongest that survives. Okay. When we come to mankind, part of the strongest is aesthetics. Guys, you know what aesthetics is? Aesthetics is the how something is good looking in terms of it's beautiful to one eye or not. Okay, you can have a beautiful painting which has a high aesthetic, or you can have a painting that looks a mess and you think it's not aesthetic at all. Okay, Ellen, why don't you look up aesthetic in the meantime? Look up the word aesthetics. Okay, so let's just look it up quickly and then we'll continue.
It means concerned with beauty or the appreciation of beauty is aesthetic.
Awesome. Okay, awesome. Now, aesthetics is very high on emotional scale. For example, I'll give you an example. You drive through a beautiful suburb, or you drive through a beautiful scenery road. What does it make you feel? Does it uplift you? Does nothing for you, or makes you down? Which one?
Uplift.
Uplifts.
Uplift, right. Does everyone have that road that he prefers to go to work because it's a nicer road than the other?
Yes.
Yeah, mine is a few minutes longer, but I prefer to go that one because it uplifts me when I drive, right? That is the result of aesthetics. If you see, for example, a beautiful car, for those who like cars, or you see a beautiful dress, or you see whatever you like of beauty, that uplifts you, right? Okay. Same thing with mankind. Okay. Aesthetics is the promise of good survival. When you see something aesthetic, it gives you the promise that it will survive well. Why? Because it uplifts you. So it improves your survival. Does it make sense? Versus when you see something dilapidated, something broken down, it brings you down because it's emotionally taking you down. And then because you're emotionally down, your survival is lower. Guys, do you get the point? I mean,
Yes.
sometimes we will see a bear key and we will want to stay away from me. Even though we won't say it, we will kind of put a distance between us and them, right? Why? Because the way he looks makes us feel down. Does it make sense?
Yes.
So the same thing, the way that we dress, the way we appear to others, you know, two things are going to happen. If you will dress well and take care of how you look, others will appreciate that. And it doesn't matter if you regard yourself beautiful, not beautiful. That doesn't matter. If you think of others and make yourself the most beautiful that you can, others will appreciate it. And guess what? You will feel more beautiful. Okay? And this is very, very important for yourself and helping others. So don't look at it as I want to be beautiful. No, I want to make others feel good when they're around me. I want to be aesthetic for their purposes. Does it make sense?
Yes.
And I can tell you that Claudia is always tip-top spotless. Always.
Oh my word.
And it's very, very nice. It's very, very nice.
Thank you.
And Ellen always comes with another hairdo. And she always has some beautiful a skirt or high heels suddenly. It's always different also. It's not 2 days the same. It's aesthetic and always a new aesthetic. It's never the run-of-the-mill aesthetic. Correct?
Very true.
So this is, and I mean, Carl is not here. But when Carl dresses up, and I would say about 70% of the time he comes dressed up, and you love to have him in his area. You love to have him in your area. Why? Because he's dressed very sharp. He has a jacket on. He looks very professional.
Very
right?
true.
It's just nice. It's nice for everybody around. Automatically, it comes back on you. Does it make sense? It is important to dress well for others, and then it will just bounce back on you because others will notice it, feel it, and will be very happy with you, and you as a result will be happier. You get the point?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yes, Ellen. Okay, that was just a thumbs up. Cool. We'll continue. Take care of your own area. When people mess up their own possession and area, it can slop over into your own. When people seem to be incapable of caring for their own things and places, it is a symptom of their feeling that they don't really belong there and don't really own their own things. When young, the things they were given had too many cautions and strings attached or were taken away from them by brothers, sisters, or parents, and they possibly did not feel welcome. So here's a very, very important thing when raising kids. When you give your child, or any person for that matter, a toy or whatever, once you gave it, it's theirs. If they destroy it 2 seconds later,
Yes.
tough, it's theirs. If you give them a room, it's their room. If they want to draw on the walls, it's their room. If you give something but it's not really theirs, you're teaching them that I don't have any possessions. And as I have no any possession, why did I need to be responsible for any possession? There's no reason for me to be responsible for a possession. And if I'm not responsible for a possession, guess what? I don't care about any possessions. My neighbors, my friends, or whatever. Guys, do you follow?
Yes.
Yes.
So when you give something, you gave it. And sometimes it's hard. And Jessica and I had some times where it was hard because we gave this beautiful toy and it lasted 5 minutes and it costs good money. You just shut up, grind to each other, do something under your chin, you know, and walk away. And you hope for the best. Okay, you get this point?
Yes.
The possession, the rooms and workspaces, the vehicles of such people advertise that they are not really the property of anyone. Worse, a sort of a rage against possession can sometimes be seen. Vandalism is a manifestation of it. The house or car nobody owns is soon ruined. Okay? And does it make sense? This is the result of a person not having possession, means no one has possessions.
Wow. Interesting.
Okay? Those who build and try to maintain low-income housing are often dismayed by the rapidity with which ruin can set in. The poor, by definition, own little or nothing. Harassed in various ways, they also come to feel they do not belong. So here's the issue of giving, okay? If you just give, like the government needs to give to the poor, we need to give housing. You understand? Not earned. That's another way of, you know, I get it for nothing, so not mine, what do I care? Okay? This is not across the board. Some people who know the value of owning things, okay? They know the value of owning things. They know the value they've one second. For example, Caroline from Caroline that works at my place. She knows the value of things. Although she might have gotten a property, but she worked her entire life and she's got by possession earning things and looking after them. So that's not a statement across all poor people. It's just those that got without working for anything. Okay, do you see the difference?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Are such people what they really do own in life, and if they really belong where they are, and you will receive some surprising answer and help them a great deal too. So if you ask this of people, they will suddenly start to look around and start to consider this. You know, if you ask them exactly what he says, what do you really own? You know, and they will go and look about it. I mean, if I ask you guys, what do you really own? You will stop for a second and start thinking about it. Okay? That will give you some perspective. And then the next question is, do you really belong where you are? Do you know? Do you really belong where you are? And probably, I would imagine that most of you would say yes.
Yes.
Does it make sense?
Yes.
Okay. The skill of organizing possessions and places can be taught. It can come as a new idea to someone that an item, when picked up and used, should be put back in the same place so it can be found again. Some spend half of their time just looking for things. A little time spent getting organized can pay off in speeded work. It is not the waste of time some believe. So I can tell you that for some periods in my life, I used to do manual work. Different eras in my life. When I was in my early 20s, I had a company. I used to manufacture doors, gates. I used to do some welding and play around with that stuff. And then later in my life, I did decks and all kind of things. And I can tell you that having your workspace, and I wasn't like this to start with. It's not like I always worked very organized. When I was young, I was very messy, but what I found from my own experience is that if I don't get the area that I'm working all the time organized, in other words, the hammer needs to go to where the hammer is, and the wrench needs to go where the wrench is, and the drill needs to go where the drill is. If you don't always put it back, suddenly you find that you spend quite a lot of time looking for these tools. And when time is part of the money that you are earning, it becomes very, very expensive to be disorganized. And it's actually very, very expensive to be disorganized, never mind what job you do. But there it was obvious for me. And there could come a situation where I would stop work because it's got too much out of hand, and I would spend 15, 20 minutes just getting it back into organized. Or when I would come onto a site, new site, put time and effort in thinking how I will lay it out so I can keep it organized throughout the work. Okay, so this is correct. This is correct in any level, and also if in your workspace, exactly how you want your computer, how you want your writing pad if you're using one, where's your calendar, etc. And keep it in that way that you can work and get the most production out of there. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Awesome. To protect your own possession and places, get others to take care of theirs. So that is very, very important. Now, guys, you don't do that. You don't do that by getting upset with people and shouting at them. That will just get a disagreement about possession. Okay? A good way to get it done is just to ask them, is this yours? Okay, where does it go? Okay, can I help you putting it there? Excellent, let's do it together. Cool. Does it make sense? Okay, you just ask. So you pick up. Is this yours? Thank you. Where do you want it to be placed? Good. Do you want to do it yourself or together with me? Awesome. Do you guys get that? Okay?
Yes.
If you're going to get upset with them, issue of tidiness and possession will be a point of upset. That's the only solution. That's the only result of that. Make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Cool. Next. Help take care of the planet. The idea that one has a share in the planet and that one can and should help care for it seems very large and, to some, quite beyond reality. But today, what happens on the other side of the world, even so far away, can affect what happens in your own home. Right. Wuhan, China. We have in Cape Town. Did it affect our home? Wuhan, China?
Yes.
Some laboratory somewhere? At least what we are told. We don't know if that's the truth. Okay? And Cape Town, rest of the planet, affects us, right?
Yes. Cool.
Recent discoveries by space probes to Venus have shown that our own world could be deteriorated to a point where it would no longer support life. And it possible could happen in one's own lifetime. Cut down too many forests, foul too many rivers and seas, mess up the atmosphere, and we've had it. The surface temperature can go roasting hot. Roasting hot. The rain can turn to sulfuric acid. All living things could die. One can ask, even if that were true, what could I do about it? Well, even if one were simply to frown when people do things to mess up the planet, one would be doing something about it. Even if one only had the opinion that it was just not a good thing to wreck the planet and mention that opinion, one would be doing something. care of the planet begins in one's own front yard. It extends through the area one travels to get to school or work. It covers such places as where one picnics or goes on vacation. The litter which messes up the terrain and water supply, the dead brush which invites fire, these are things one need not contribute to, and which, in otherwise ideal moments, one can do something about. Planting a tree may seem little enough, but it is something. So, if we look at this, if I would walk, Nithar, if I would walk into your front, through your front door, sit down in your living room right next to you, smoking my cigarette, and taking what you call when you get the what's the name of? How do you say it? When I'm doing this onto the cigarette.
Inhale.
Again?
Ashes.
Ashes, right. But what you call it when I take the ashes off the cigarette? Is there a technical word for it?
No.
No. It's not like the Zoll. Okay. So. Okay. So now I'm finished to smoke the cigarette and I'm just throwing it on the floor. Nithar, how would you feel about it? How would you feel about it? Yes, Ellen, you want to answer?
I was gonna say, if I was a smoker, I would try to find out where you found cigarettes first.
Smart woman.
Okay.
Anyway,
So, Nithar, would you accept that if I do that?
No, I wouldn't accept it.
Why?
I'd fetch the broom. I'd fetch the broom and the scoop and make you clean it and never invite you again.
Okay, but why? Why would you do that?
I would say because you are dirtying my environment that I spend so much time cleaning.
Your environment. Okay, I get it. So I'm dirtying your house. Now, what about? Sorry. What about Claudia? Claudia, if I will come to your driveway, okay? If I will come to your driveway, and my garbage bin is full. It's a chock-a-block. They didn't come and collect this week, and I just need somewhere to drop off my garbage, and I would drop it off your front lawn, Claudia. Would that be okay with you? Do you mind?
Yes, I do.
Why is that you mind, Claudia? Why do you care?
First of all, it's unethical. It's bad manners, and it's bad. It makes my environment look bad. My lawn. I mean, it's not cool.
It's because it's your lawn.
Yes.
Okay, I got it. Fair enough. Now, so let's say like this. Nithar and Claudia, if I will take now a whole load of garbage and dump it on the M5, but on Milnerton side, on the far part of the M5, on the Milnerton side, not on our side, is that okay?
Definitely
No,
not.
it's still not okay.
Why is that not okay?
I most likely phone the city.
Okay, why is it not okay?
Because I would say you're still damaging the environment or harming the environment.
Yeah, but it's not your
I might not
environment.
be-
What do you care?
We do care
Yeah, but
about
it's
the
still-
environment.
But it's Claudia, it's not your environment. What do you care?
Corp, I care about the planet because it's unhealthy for all. It's unethical. It's unhealthy.
I
First
get
of all,
that, but
because
it's
there are
not.
designated areas.
But it's not your environment.
This entire universe is my environment. It's my responsibility. I breathe. I'm part of this universe.
So it is yours.
Yes.
So is there any place, anywhere that it's okay to litter?
No.
Is there any place on this planet that doesn't belong to anyone here?
It
Or
belongs to all of us.
we have
Definitely
someone
not.
amongst us that doesn't live on this planet. Please show me your hand because I don't know how that works. Yeah? We own this planet.
Totally.
And we don't own it because we have a document that our name and the planet is attached together. Okay? We own this planet because we decided it's ours. That's how we own the planet. Okay? Does it make sense?
Totally.
And that's how we should regard it. And by the way, for example, this is some years back, I don't know if it still works, but for example, in China, when they cut a tree, they have to plant a tree. I mean, they can't cut a tree without planting one. That's for work purposes. They should have in Brazil a similar policy, and that would help a lot. Okay, why Brazil? Because in Brazil, the rainforests are being cut in a tremendous speed in the Amazon, and that is affecting our global scene. Okay?
Yaron,
Yeah.
if I may just say something. When I was a kid, while I was a teenager, I think at the time, my mom said she was traveling in the train, and she sat opposite this lady, and she was so immaculately dressed, and she was admiring this woman, and she was having a cool drink while commuting. And so they came to a stop, and my mom said as she was about to get up, both of them were about to get up, the lady put the cool drink with the straw on the floor of the train, and she said, I had a totally different opinion of her after that. And the lesson that my mom was giving us the evening was that if you care about yourself in terms of how you represent yourself and how well you take care of yourself, why is it different for your environment? Why would she put litter and take the cool drink can and put it on the floor of the train? And it's so appropriate to what you're speaking about, because I'm reflecting on that right now.
Awesome. And that's an awesome story. Thank you. Ellen, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, you just reminded me of something that I did actually before the lockdown. Before, actually, I used to be very shy. Like if someone was throwing litter on the floor and it's just a stranger, I wouldn't say anything because they're a stranger, and I was like really, really shy to say something, But with having read this chapter, I decided to apply it a little bit. And then the one time before the lockdown, this guy, I was in town in Loop Street. There was this guy walking out of this store, and he had an ice cream, and he just threw as he opened it, he just threw it on the floor. And I said to him, pick it up. Like, that's all I said. He looked at me and just picked it up. He didn't even say, who are you?
Love it.
He just picked it up and he threw it in the bin. And then I was like, wow, okay, it works. So anyway, what I learned from that is you shouldn't be shy about telling someone not to do something that is right. Even if they don't do it, next time they'll think about it 3 times before they actually do it again,
Well done. Awesome.
I just thought about it when you mentioned this point.
Fantastic.
That's a good one. I like that one. Pick it up. Okay, I will adopt that. Okay. Here we go. Care of the planet begins in one's own front yard. It extends through the area one travels to get to school or work. It covers such places as where one picnics or goes on vacation. The litter which messes up the terrain and water supply, the dead brush which invites fire, these are things one need not contribute to, and which in otherwise idle moments one can do something about. Planting a tree may seem little enough, but it is something. In some countries, old people, the unemployed, do not just sit around and go to pieces. They are used to care for the gardens and parks and forests, to pick up the litter and add some beauty to the world. There is no lack of resources to take care of the planet. They are mainly ignored. One notes that the Civilian Conservation Corps in the US organized in the 1930s to absorb the the energies of unemployed officers and youth. Was one of the few, if not the only project of that depressed era that created far more wealth for the state than was expended. Okay, so it reinforced large areas and did other valuable things that cared for the US part of the planet. One notes that the CCC, that's the Conservation Corps in the US, no longer exists. One can do as little as add one's opinion that such projects are worthwhile and support opinion leaders and organizations that carry on environmental work. So let's break this up a bit, okay? So, first of all, it says that in some countries, old people, the unemployed, do not just sit around, they actually get them to work and get them to clean the environment and do work in the environment, which is brilliant, because the minute that old people are not doing anything and they don't feel useful, then there's no reason to live. And when people have no reason to live, they will not live. It's very simple, okay? That's how we designed. It's not something that I decide or I want. That's how we decide, okay? When people, when their businesses come crashing down, they feel there's nothing to live for anymore and commit suicide, okay? That's what they're worried about as a result of the situation with the corona, that business owners and people lose work and etc. Part of it is just there's no usefulness for that being, okay? There's no reason to live. But in countries, and I think what's beautiful to see in China, for example, just as an anecdote, if you go into the cities in China and you go in the evenings, the Chinese are not much at home. Their homes are very small, so they're a lot out and they socialize. If they're not working, they're socializing. They're very socialized, they're very social people. You will see the elderly are doing Tai Chi dancing in the streets. There will be music and they will be doing Tai Chi dancing in groups. It's quite amazing. I mean, I've been there, the last time I was there, it was in Shenzhen, and we went out for supper with some Chinese friends, and the elderly were just dancing to music, and that's common in China. That's like every day, it's like that. The elderly are out dancing and having a good time. Another thing here, so he says, referring to in the 1950s, so in 1928, the US had they had a huge collapse of their stock market. It was the biggest collapse in the history of mankind. That's in 1928, and as a result, a lot of people actually jumped out windows. People who were very wealthy in the morning were beggars in the evening. That's how quickly it went in that big collapse. And that launched in the United States what they call the Big Depression. The Big Depression started in 1928 and went through the 50s. And actually, what really got the United States out of the Big Depression is the Second World War. But in the 50s, I'm not sure which year exactly, Theodore Roosevelt became the president of the United States, and he did something that's not done in the United States. He interfered in the economy. Now, the United States is the biggest capitalist country in the world, and usually the government doesn't interfere except put regulations in the economy. Okay, does it make sense? And what he did, he created a lot of work. He mobilized people. People were unemployed in the thousands, in the hundreds of thousands, in the millions. And he mobilized people. So he got people to do infrastructure work, like build roads, build buildings. In this case, if I remember right, he's referring to some of the biggest national parks in US. And they were doing a lot of planting, and they were fixing a lot of these national parks. And I think that's what Mr. Hubbard is referring to here. I'm not sure exactly, but that it happened, I know. In other words, they did do a lot of work in the parks like Yellowstone and others. And people had a lot of work as a result of it. This is one of the things that actually South Africa should learn. One of the presidents that we should adopt in order to fix South Africa is Mr. Roosevelt, where we should, the government should mobilize the people and make the people build the roads, build the hospitals, build whatever things we need, and we should create a lot of work that way. And as a result, we can get millions back to work. And if we get millions back to work, guess what? They earn money. And that will bring millions into the economy. And that will rotate in such a way that bigger companies will be able to make more money. And as a result, they make more money. Guess what? They will have to pay more tax. So that money will come back to the government, who will be able to pay these people for the works they're doing. Anyhow, we a bit went sideways on this. But out of interest. So, guys, you get this paragraph?
Yes.
Okay, so he's talking about smart utilization of resources. The people who are retired, they're not dead. They are resources. And we could use them very smartly. Okay, make sense?
Yes.
Cool. There is no lack of technology, but technology and its application cost money. Money is available when sensible economic policies which do not penalize everyone, are followed. Such policies exist. Not here, but they exist. There are many things one can do to help take care of the planet. They begin with the idea that one should. They progress with the suggestion to others they should. Okay, does it make sense? So now we all smarter and we will all suggest it to other. Okay?
Yes.
Man has gotten up to the potential of destroying the planet. He must be pushed on up to the capability and action of saving it. It is, after all, what we're standing on. If others do not help safeguard and improve the environment, the way to happiness could have no roadbed to travel on at all. Okay, so roadbed is the underneath of the road. So what would happen to a road if there was no roadbed? Guys, what would happen to a road if there's no roadbed?
There would be no road.
There would be no road. So that's what he's saying. The way to happiness could have no roadbed to travel on at all. So it means we could have no planet to travel on at all if we do not look after it. Make sense?
Yes.
Cool. Anything anyone would like to say about our beautiful planet? No.
Keep on nurturing her.
Yes, Giovanni.
There are so many points on this precept. Gosh.
Share with us. Don't withhold.
I don't know where to start. Because first I had the idea on aesthetics and the value. It brought me to think about the value of art. Because it is not just art. If you go to Rome or any other place where you have contact with beauty, you really feel the experience of a better world. And I think it ties to our biology or probably psychology or our neurons. I don't know how it works on the body, but it really makes you feel great when you appreciate a great piece of art, whether it is a musical instrument being played or something that people painted. So that was on the aesthetic point. Now, you gave an example of picking up a pen and moving to one place. I've tried that with my nephew from the principle that I believe when I was 20, I started to asking myself why each and every time that when I move to a new place, I feel that I have so much control of that place. It is actually because now I'm realizing, because when I go to the place, the first thing that I do is go to the places that are most hidden and clean those places. So it by itself gives me a whole control and a whole notion that I'm here and I belong to the place where I am. And the other one touches to the point of citizenship, because I think I don't agree that much with the government or the policymakers of just granting citizenship to people, because through my experience, each and every time that I travel to a new place, I've had a few friends telling me, for example, oh, how did you, I've lived in a place in New Jersey where the majority of the population were white. And in that area, most of the people complain of racism, but I have never felt that. And people tell me, no, you're naive. You don't want to see the things. But the thing that I'm realizing now is that I really practice citizenship. When I go to a place, I take care of the place, so people don't have reasons to pick on me. They see, oh, he wants to help. There is no reason why I will fight a person like that. So it
Nice.
Just like a lot of realizations that I'm getting from what you have read right now. It's mind-blowing.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Thank you for sharing, Giovanni.
Not a problem.
Good. We always get more insight afterward from Giovanni. Thank you.
Yeah, brilliant.
Good. Anyone else want to share? Yes, Ellen.
Yeah, me. I also realized from reading this information again that it's really up to every one of us to do their bit. Like even just like he says on there, where you read, they begin with the idea that one should. What's this? One should. There are many things one can do to help take care of the planet. They begin with the idea that one should. They progress with suggesting to others they should. So from that, I think is very powerful. I mean, just having the idea, because some people will throw, I've used the trains for a long time, for example. And if you've been on the train, you can see people write things all over the walls, throw rubbish all over the place.
True.
The first point is, and you can see from that nobody in that environment has the idea that they should help to take care of the planet at all. Otherwise, they wouldn't be throwing stuff all over the place. So just, I think this is very powerful, because just having the idea that one should makes a huge difference, because from there you have a different viewpoint. So I think even if one doesn't do something yet, at least by reading this, I have an idea that, okay, maybe I should do something. So I think this is very powerful, and thank you for covering that too.
Awesome. Very cool.
Fantastic.
Anyone else?
Yaron, I'm also just thinking about what I said earlier, and what my mother was trying to teach us was about self, understanding, the woman, if she could take the time to make herself look good and take care of herself, that she should understand her role in society and her role in the universe. And so it all starts with self-awareness, conscious living. So yeah, it's a good reminder again.
Awesome. Very, very cool, guys. Okay. So if nothing else, so we'll call it a night. I really loved spending the time with you tonight. Okay. And
there's one more.
Thank you, Yaron.
Yeah, bring more friends, bring more people, bring
Yaron,
more
there's
family.
one more.
Yeah, the more the merrier. And then we can make more people aware. Okay? Claudia, are you by yourself today?
Yes.
Okay.
Yaron, there's one more comment on the group.
Yes.
On the chat.
Yes.
From Wadzi. He said, I agree, it starts with an individual. If we learned not to litter as an individual, it means there will be no litter.
Exactly.
And Natik said, thank you.
Pleasure. Awesome. Excellent. Thank you, guys. You have an awesome weekend, and I will see you, or those that I don't see tomorrow, I'll see you on Monday. Lovely. Have a good one.
Thanks for a great talk.
Sorry?
Yaron, you almost confused
Hi,
when you said
thank you for a great
have
talk.
a good weekend.
Thank you. One second. Let me do this. Okay, this is better. Now we can see each other better. Sorry, Oksana, you want to say again?
No, I was saying you almost confused me now when you said have a good weekend. I thought, did I miss something? Is it Friday today?
It's only for those that I don't see until Monday.
I realize that now.
Okay.
And
Awesome,
Shayla
guys.
put a message. Thank you, Yaron.
A pleasure. Just a pleasure. Guys, have an awesome time. Take care. Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yaron.
Have a good
Bye.
Sleep well, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.
You too.